catch, Bharat. Any question? So, when we are in the state of sattva, when sattva predominates in our personality, or whenever we are in that state, even if it's not predominant, the experience we are going through, what are we feeling or experiencing? We are experiencing complete happiness. I mean, you just feel very happy. And you experience clarity. Clarity in the sense, nothing seems very difficult, nothing seems very complicated. Everything you seem to understand. You have a grip on whatever is going on. You don't feel like overwhelmed by something or so whenever we are in that state where we are completely calm, peaceful, very happy with life, and nothing seems overwhelming, nothing seems very difficult to achieve, or anything seems confusing, or I don't understand this or I don't understand that. There's no such thing. You're just satisfied and everything seems fine to you. You're in the state of sattva. But there's a problem in being in this state. We think it's a very great thing that we have no questions, all doubts are dissolved, and we are very happy. What else do you want in life? The problem with this state is that we become complacent and we stop putting in further effort. We don't seem to get that we've not reached the end of the journey. So that happiness and that clarity, instead of becoming a torch for our future, becomes a tent in which we stay until such time that that clarity and that happiness is no longer felt. So therefore, the bondage of sattva is that you feel like this. And therefore you don't move. Therefore you don't progress spiritually. Then we came to the bondage of rajas. Now, what happens when you're in the state of rajas? In the state of rajas, you feel extremely passionate. You feel very like, ye karna chahiye, wo karna chahiye, ye hoga, wo hoga. You're very, very excited, very involved, very, things like that. You feel like I have to get this. My life is dependent on getting this. It's a very, very different feeling from sattva. Whenever we feel in our lives that this thing is a matter of life and death, that if I get it, it's going to be amazing. And if I don't get it, it's going to be the worst thing in the world. We are in the state of rajas. We have forgotten that neither the presence nor the absence of something is life threatening. Like you go to the mall, you see this beautiful dress, you say, I have to have it, I have to have it. You're in the state of rajas. That doesn't mean a sattvic person will not appreciate a good dress. So have a good dress, yeah, it's a beautiful dress. Should I buy it? Well, let me think about it. And if it makes sense, I'll buy it. If it doesn't make sense, I won't buy it. But a rajasic person, there's no sense involved. There is, oh, I love it. It's amazing. The rajas state. Now, rajasic person, when we are enacting all this, we show all this. It's not necessary that you're showing it. It could be that you are very quiet externally, but very rajasic inside. Similarly, maybe Krishna, when he sees something, he'll say, yes, this is amazing. But he's not rajasic, he's still sattvic. So don't go by the actions and expressions. It is what that person is going through. The sense of thirst, longing, craving, wanting. Suppose you're in the middle of a problem and you genuinely think that should this problem go, my life will be fine. That's the state of rajas. You suppose you're not well and you are just like, when will this disease go away? I will be fine only once I leave this hospital. This is the state of rajas. So rajas is the state where there's a longing, a craving, anything. Even if I'm longing to realize the self, it is still a rajasic state because there's a longing, a craving, a thirst, a dying, a desiring. All this is going on. That's one part. The other part of rajas is I'm holding on. I'm attached. I cannot let this thing go. If this thing goes from my life, I am devastated. Like in a relationship, if the person leaves or finds another partner or whatever, people are absolutely devastated. They can't take it. This is the state of rajas. Please, this is not a criticism or an appreciation or any such thing. It's only a statement of fact. Please don't take it as, oh, this is so good and this is so bad. We're not doing any of this. It's just making statements of fact. When you feel like this is the state of rajas. And so that then becomes your bondage. That there is this craving and desiring and hoping, and there is this holding and clinging and possessing. When you are in these two states, what happens is your body gets propelled into action. Therefore, the bondage of rajas is considered to be action. Suppose you're dying to be the president of the Rotary Club. You will perforce perform certain actions. If you are dying to be very rich, you will perforce perform certain actions. That is the bondage of rajas. So, know rajas to be of the nature of passion. Vidhi. Vidhi means know this. What should you know? Rajo ragatmakam. Raja is from raga. Trushna sanga samudbhava. So, where is it? What is udbhavam? Udbhavam means rises. What rises from this? Trushna and sanga. Trushna is that craving, longing, desiring, hoping. It could be anything. It could be I want to be healthy. It could be anything, okay? It's not what you are craving. It is that you are craving. Sanga, holding on. You could be holding on to your teacher. You could be holding on to the knowledge. You could be holding on to reputation. You could be holding on to a person. You could be holding on to your chair. You could be holding on to your ideas. So tangible or intangible, anything. You could be holding on to your home. Nobody should come to my house, or having come to my house, nobody should behave in this particular way, whatever. Holding on. So Trushna and Sanga. Tanni badnati kaunte. With that, it binds fast. Karma sangena. What is the bondage of rajas? Action. Because if you have any of these conditions, you are forced to act. So you are bound by action. A sattvic person is not forced to act. A sattvic person acts out of initiative. A rajasic person is forced into action because of incentive. You're hoping to get something, and therefore they are forced to act. The sattvic person is not seeking anything from that action. They are doing it because they're inspired to do something noble and great. They are not hoping that ye milega or wo milega. And they have seen this through, they have thought it through. They know that, okay, I'm going to be doing this for the next this many years. What will a rajasic person do? Suddenly they wake up and say, I have to get this, I have to get it. Uske piche bhag. Then kuch aur dikhta hai. Uske piche bhag. They are not able to be consistent. That is the bondage of action. Right? So it binds fast, O Kaunteya, the embodied by attachment to action. Who is bound fast? The embodied. Who is the embodied? The self. Embodied means that which has taken a body. So what has taken a body? The self. But all these bondages, as you already have studied, are imaginary bondages. Do not let go of that fact, because the self cannot be bound. You are the self. You cannot be bound. You are free even when you are experiencing bondage. If you say, no, I can't help it. I have to. No, you're free even when you're feeling like that. So it binds fast to Kaunteya, be embodied by attachment to action. Prashant. Is it so that any guna can be transcended only with gunatit and not by any other guna alone, although through it via abhyas and vairagya? Prashant, too confusing. Is it that any guna can be transcended only with gunatit? They don't use Sanskrit words because we don't get clarity like that. Gunatit means beyond the gunas. So, can it be translated with gunatit? That doesn't make sense, because gunatit, guna atit. Gunasya atitaha. What is beyond the guna is gunatit. So you can't say I'm going to do gunatit to get beyond the gunas. It doesn't make sense. So therefore, how does any guna be transcended? You transcend tamas with the help of rajas. You transcend rajas with the help of sattva. And you transcend sattva with the help of meditation. These are the causal relationships. The end goal is gunatit. That means at the end of it, you will go beyond the gunas. Remember, gunatit is not something. It's only saying beyond the gunas. It is a negation of the gunas. It is not the assertion of something. It's saying that you're beyond these three characteristics. It's not saying anything in particular. So, via abhyas and vairagya. Yes, via abhyas and vairagya means, abhyas means practice, vairagya means renunciation. Practice means the practice of what you need to do, and the renunciation of what you don't need to do. Means, what is Viveka? Viveka is being able to tell the difference between higher and lower. Right? So when you know this difference, the assumption is that you will work towards the higher. But you can't only work towards the higher, you also have to push away the lower. Otherwise, one hand you'll be working towards the higher, and one hand you'll be doing all the lower things. You can't do that, right? So you have to do the higher and you have to throw the lower away. Throwing the lower away is renunciation. Sannyasa or vairagya. Sannyasa, nyasa to leave. Sannyasa, well left. What is vairagya? Vina raga, without raga, without desire. So you have no desire for the lower thing. You push them away. And you are associating with the higher. It's the same basic principle of attach the low higher, leave the lower. Do that. Okay, Prashant?
Yes.
Transcend by pitching a goal. Yes, always you transcend something by pitching a higher goal. Otherwise, there's no other way to transcend it. So wherever we have tamas, that means we're lazy, we're ignorant, we have got inertia, we're not doing stuff. We have to create rajas. That means you create desire, you create ambition, you create craving, you create longing. You create all this so that you make yourself work. When you start work, you have to dump all this, longing and hoping and wishing, and do it because it is to be done. So what happens in the corporate world is they understand only rajas and tamas. So they say a guy is lazy And then they say, okay, inject rajas, means put desire into him, put competition into him, put external stress into him, like give him a deadline. Whenever there is a tamasic element, you give stress, basically. You say you have to finish it by this date. You have to report back to this. You're injecting stress. So you inject all that stress. But once the person is in action, then you have to stop injecting all that stress. Otherwise, that person will collapse. Then you have to move it on to initiative, inspiration, and all that sort of thing. But what they understand is, you should see the motivational speakers. I don't know if you ever heard a motivational speaker. The way he will motivate you into acting. For the next 10 minutes, you feel you are the vanquard, the lata mont, the conqueror of the world. Well, go for it. And then a little while later, sab fus ho gaya. So that motivational speaker is brought again and again so that you are going, okay, how is the Josh? Ye sab karte raho. So a little bit, the person gets into action. Then after some time, fus, like how that balloon is, उसको भरा है, फिर वो ऐसे करता रहता है और फिर वो सब फुस होके नीचे आता है. This is exactly what they do. Because from the state of rajas, they don't push it to sattva. Eventually, we can't function like this with all this josh and all. Josh and all is not a sustaining thing. वो थोड़ा आएगा थोड़ा जाएगा. That is its nature. If you have to sustain action over a long period of time, you have to do this calmly. You have to do it with organization. You have to do it with proper system. And you have to do it with knowing that this is a end worth achieving. So doing it for that reason. You do it only out of this josh. तो कुछ नहीं होने वाला. 2 days we'll be running, and then after that, सब फुस होने वाला. Prashant. Tamas is my problem, and I sometimes believe it is sattva. That is everybody's problem, Prashant. There's nothing. You see, one thing we should all learn in this class is that none of us are unique. You let us take a random poll over here. All those people who believe that tamas is your problem, can you all please raise your hands? See, these are universal problems, Prashant. Nobody is spared of these problems. Every single person will raise their hand, at least those who are listening. Some have gone off to do cooking or attending to a phone call. They come not raising their hands. Everybody else will tell you that. So it is not your problem. It is a universal problem. Therefore, in class, we don't talk about a person, because we assume that whatever is anybody's problem is everybody else's problem as well. So tamas is our problem. Rajas is our problem. And sattva is our problem. Wherever we have tamas, that is a problem. Wherever we have rajas, that is problem number 2. And wherever we have sattva, that is problem number 3. And all us human beings have these 3 problems. The only difference is how much of each.
Yeah.
And we all believe our tamas is sattva. Do not worry about it. It is the nature of tamas to think itself to be God. So, ये सबका वही स्टोरी है. ये घर घर की कहानी है. So every one of us, we who are in class and all those who are not in class as well, we can only pat ourselves on the back that अच्छा हमको ये प्रॉब्लम पता है, दूसरों को शायद ये प्रॉब्लम पता नहीं है, तो वी आर स्लाइटली बेटर क्योंकि हमको पता तो है, इतना तो है, पर प्रॉब्लम दोनों की एक ही है. It's not like they're different problems. Okay. All right. So back to rajas. What is rajas? Craving and longing and the belief that ये मिलेगा तो क्या हो जाएगा. Suppose a boy wants to marry a girl, or a girl wants to marry a boy, marry or whatever. They want to be with each other. What is the belief they both have? They both think that अगर ये मुझे मिल जाएगा तो मुझे I don't know what होने वाला है, और अगर मुझसे ये चला जाएगा तो ये क्या, like it's the destruction of the three worlds. That state is called rajas. So does that mean a sattvic person doesn't have a partner, doesn't get married, doesn't have children? No. Everybody gets married and everybody has children and everybody does everything. The sattvic person understands the situation and gets married. The rajasic person gets totally involved in the situation and gets married. The tamasic person either marry whoever is there without thinking. ठीक है भाई चलो, कोई भी चलेगा. In the sense that there's no effort put at all. The sattvic person has thought this thing through. Should I be married? Question number one. Why is it that I feel I should get married? What is the type of person I should marry? How many people do I know who fit into that category? And understanding that a lot of this has to be with whether my mind goes with that person. I do all this analysis of who's the right person, but my mind feels nothing for the person, and I can't marry that person. So I have to carry my mind with me. Not like, okay, my mind is loving somebody and my intellect is saying that is the other person. Yes, some nonsense maker. Right? So you are one person. You have to have a reasonable balance of the various factors. Full effort. Whatever sattvic person does with full effort, calm effort. Whatever the rajasic person is, because his heart is touched now, he's going to go berserk about it. And what is the tamasic fellow doing? He's neither putting intellectual effort, nor is his heart touched. अभी कोई है तो उसको करो उसके साथ शादी. Tamasic. But everyone is doing everything. The difference is how are we doing? Tamasic be like, हाँ सब कुछ ठीक है, कुछ भी. Then when the problems come, then they'll say, देखो ये हो गया, मैंने सोचा ही नहीं था. तामसिक को आदमी के साथ डील करना बहुत मुश्किल होता है. Okay, so what is the bondage of rajas? Can anybody answer that question?
Action.
Very good.
Actions.
Very good, Kalyan. The end of it, at least after so long explanation, nobody knows the answer. It's very depressing, Baba. What is the bondage of sattva?
Knowledge and peace.
Happiness.
Happiness, yes.
You can use either word, both are the same. Good. Okay. Now, if we are clear about tamas, about sattva and rajas, now let us meet our third friend, Mr. Tamas. Oh, Kalyan, you have a question?
Yeah, Janki ji. The response of yours to Prashant saying that you have to be sequential. From tamas, you develop rajas, and then so it necessarily has to be like that in all instances, wherever you're tamasic, let's say.
Yes, but not sequential. That's what surprised me. I didn't say sequential. I said wherever there is tamas, you inject rajas. Wherever. Wherever there is rajas, you inject sattva. It's not like first I'm going to handle all my tamas, then I'm going to go and handle my rajas. It is where, like in marriage, you may be sattvic, in which case you have to have a higher goal. At work, you may be, I'm just making up these stories, okay? You may be rajasic, in which case you have to go to the next level of unselfishness. And in exercises, you may be tamasic, to which then you have to tell yourself, I have to become Miss, or no, Mr. Universe, or some rajasic thing you have to put into it. Like, okay, if I If I look very good, then this will happen, that will happen. You're injecting selfish desire into it. So wherever we are being lazy, inject selfish desire. Wherever we are being, motivated by personal things, inject unselfish things. And wherever we are being motivated by unselfish things, we try to become more unselfish.
You can't leapfrog.
You can try, Kalyan, and tell us what happened. If it works, great. If you can jump any step, fantastic. But mostly jumps are not sustainable.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Momita, HR is getting ideas. Yeah, we should start a course in, what is this? When we start the university, we can do HR. Ravi, Chab. Does a person have all three? Tamas, Rajas, Sattva in different proportions at all times? Yes, a person has all three in different proportions, but you can't say at all times. He has all three at all times, but at any particular time, a person may be in a particular state. He may be in a combination also, but he could be in a particular state. A certain thing may be predominant. So at all times, he's the same person. So he has his whatever. Let us say a person is 30% tamasic, 50% rajasic, and 20% sattvic. Okay. So at all times, this is there. But at a particular time, only tamas or rajas or sattva may be there, or a combination of two may be there. He may be in tamasic rajas, or he may be in rajasic sattva. He could be in some kind of combination. That's also possible. Remember, there are 8 billion of us. The permutations and combinations are huge. So all these possibilities exist.
So in such cases, should the person make attempt to make sure that he moves from tamas to preferably the sattvic?
That is what Kalyan was trying to say. Can I do this jump? I mean, if you can, great, but usually jumps are not sustainable. Because you'll do it for a day or two and then your personality can't hold it, right? But let us say that you have some particular combination in a particular area which is rajasic but just bordering on sattva, then maybe you could do some kind of immediate jump. But these are all permutations and combinations. Each individual is so different. But the principle stays that where there is tamas, where there is laziness, you put in selfishness, selfish desire. Where there is selfish desire, you put in unselfish desire. And when there is unselfish desire, you expand that unselfish desire. So
I am not recommending that one should jump, but at least one should make a gradual attempt. That is the way, isn't it?
gradual attempt at what?
No, gradually you try to move from tamas to say rajas or sattvic. I mean, of course, you cannot jump straight away from tamas to sattvic, but an attempt should be made to make sure that you are slowly moving away from tamasic thoughts, from tamasic nature to higher up.
Yeah, but that's what we are saying now. Where there's tamas, you put rajas. Where there's rajas, that's the same point that's being said. So I don't know what is the difference you're drawing, if you're drawing a difference, or you may be just agreeing, in which case that's fine. Wherever there's tamas, put rajas. Wherever there's rajas, put sattva. Mona. You can also go from sattva to tamas as well. Yes and no. You can't go in that area, which wherever you are sattvic, you cannot go in that area to tamas because you've grown there. But because the personality is made of the 3 gunas, you could be in the state of sattva sattva at one point, and you could be in the state of tamas at another point.
Yeah, I just wanted that clarity because what happens is we are always aspiring for the higher, right? That is our aspiration. But then what happens is that there are phases in life, and you may feel like, okay, I'm approaching this in a very sattvic way, but there may come a time where something happens and you become very apathetical about it, and then you become tamasic. So it's a recognition, and then to get out of that, you have to inject this sort of, josh and say, okay, now better get rajasic so that I can do something. So it's not that it just goes in one direction or the other. I'm just saying it can loop round and round, isn't it, in different phases in life?
Yeah, it can, because the three gunas are there. So we don't try to deal with it. We do this more systematically. This is when it is there, what do you do? But you have to avoid that, which you do by doing morning studies.
Okay.
So
And
every
when you
morning.
No, when you said you transcend all of this through meditation, it is first awareness and then meditation, right? You become
No, it's always knowledge. First step
Okay.
is knowledge. Knowledge is like doing a vacuum cleaning. And then wherever you see specific dirt in some place which your vacuum cleaner has not cleaned, there you go and, I don't know, there you put your Lysol or something. So, you don't do specifics. You do general first. You do specific only when the general has not removed that. Otherwise, it'll be forever this will go on. So
Okay.
morning studies is your general cleanup. And then whatever's left after that, then you attend.
Got it. Thank you.
Did somebody else have something?
Janki ji, Milin.
Yeah.
Janki ji, suppose 5% sattva is there. So 5% sattva is to be used to remove rajas and tamas, not 100%. So that the 5% will become 95%, just for argument. This is the.
You don't use your sattva to remove your rajas and tamas. When you're in the state of rajas, you attempt to increase the sattva. You cannot use 5% against 95%. How is that even going to work? So what you're doing is you're trying to increase the sattva. When you increase the sattva, this is only 100%, right? So when you increase the sattva, rajas will have to reduce. So you have to make place for it.
Oh, but what I'm saying, that is not correct. You cannot. You have to use, no. You have to use the sattva.
Yeah, but you have to use it. You have to use sattva to increase sattva.
Okay.
Wherever there is sattva, that much vision you have, right? So that much vision you have to use to increase the vision. It's like the headlights of your car can show you so much. So you use that so that you see more. Use it means you traverse that distance and then you see more.
Okay. Thank you.
Does anybody have anything? If not, we will go to verse 8. Okay. Yeah, somebody's saying something?
Yeah, is it is when we say we use sattva, do we mean like we use viveka? Or is it
Viveka is discrimination. Correct discrimination is the state of sattva. So I don't know what you mean by that.
no, so we are not actually using sattva. What we are using is viveka.
Sattva is tamas, rajas, and sattva is a classification of thoughts. Another way of classifying the thought is viveka and vairagya. Another way of classifying the thought is mind and intellect. Another way of classifying the same thoughts are mano, buddhi, chitta, ahankar. These are all various different types of classifications.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so verse 8. तमत्वज्ञानजं विद्धि मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिः तन्निबध्नाति भारत तमस्त्वज्ञानजं विद्धि मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिः तन्निबध्नाति भारत तमः तु अज्ञानजं विद्धि. Jnanam, knowledge. Ajnanam, lack of knowledge, no knowledge. Whenever you add a, it is the opposite. Shoka, ashoka. Jnana, ajnana. Whenever you add a in Sanskrit, you make it the opposite, like English non. Now, ja is a suffix that refers to birth. Wherever you add the letter ja, it refers to the birth. It's born from that. So if we say Maheshaja, what would it mean?
Mahesh's son.
Born.
Mahesh's son, Mahesh's book, anything that is born of Mahesh. Suppose I say Maheshaja, then
Mahesh's daughter.
Feminine.
that's feminine. Some he has a daughter maybe or whatever. So Dashratha Ja means
Born from the
who is Dashratha Ja?
Shri Ram.
Rama.
Yeah. Okay. So you can, so Sanskrit being a flexible language, you can do all these things. And that's how all the poetry is created. As you know, there are many such suffixes. Each one of them is, it means something. Ja means, refers to birth. So, Ajnanaja. Ajnanaja means born of ignorance. Jnanam, knowledge. Ajnanam, ignorance. Ajnanaja, born of ignorance. So what is tamas? It is the state of ignorance. It is born of ignorance. What are you ignorant of? You are ignorant of the value of something. You don't understand the value of that. So can you give examples of things of which we don't have value, where we don't have a value? I'll give you a few.
Self.
Self, very good.
Vedanta.
Very good. Vedanta. What else?
Morning studies.
Time. Very good.
Exercise.
Exercise. Very good. Okay,
Morning
we don't
studies.
have a value. Huh?
Morning studies.
Morning study. All of this is ajnanajam. We do not have value for this because we don't understand out of ignorance, we don't understand it. If I say you should be disciplined, then everybody will run away from this class because, oh my God, they're forcing discipline on us. Ajnanajam, the lack of value. Are you thinking something through before you're taking an action? Do you realize 5 years down the road, what will this action do? What will be the consequence 5 years ago? Not knowing this, ajnanajam. So I'm happy to do this action right now because I feel like doing it. But okay, if you do it Now, 5 years later, what will be the result? 25 years later, what will be the result? 100 years later, what will be the result? Ajnanajam. Therefore, the person starts doing action. Mona, also we may not understand the value of the teacher. That's right. So all this, anything which is valuable, and we do not understand that, is Ajnanajam. Ajnanajam means it is born out of ignorance. Something valuable is not considered bad. Yeah, Prashant.
It says born out of ignorance, right? So born out of lack of knowledge. Knowledge here is those 20 qualities rather than any scriptural knowledge, right? It's those qualities.
You can say anything, you can say, but basically it is values. What are you valuing? When you're not valuing the right thing because you're ignorant. Suppose in one hand you have a Kohinoor diamond. In one hand you have your trash at home. And you go outside the house to put the trash. So you put the Kohinoor diamond and the trash both outside the house. The people will come in, the scavengers will come in, take it away. This is Ajnanajam.
Yeah.
You're giving up something or you're taking up something out of ignorance. Ignorance means the value of that. You may have read a book or you may not have read a book, but do you have the value, the right value for it? So if you want to say 20 qualities, you could say that. You don't have to say that. What you have to say is, you do not appreciate something out of ignorance.
Yeah. And value is not the cost or the price or like a resellable value or kind of a quantity that we put against it. It's actually the dharma of that entity itself, is it? Can we say?
No, value is how valuable do you consider something? How important do you consider it?
Depends on who I am, right? At that.
Correct. So what is the value you are placing on it? Is the value you are placing on it same as the value of that object? When these two meet, that is knowledge.
Yeah. Ma'am, one more question. I've read this word a number of times, heedless, and dictionary says reckless, right? But I'd like to understand a little more on that word as to how you understand it.
When you perform an action, we're coming to it. That I'm coming to. That will come in the future. Mamita. It feels like our value for something changes. That's correct. Sometimes it seems very valuable and in others not. What is that? That is impulse. That is not real value. That is values given by circumstances and situations. So suppose you go to a movie on patriotism. Okay. And the whole thing is all like, all about how people give up their life for their nation and this and that. The most important thing in my life is my country, because it has been generated by something else. Or you go to another movie and over there it shows how this guy, he's a ruthless guy and he got to the top of his profession being so ruthless, and you say, that is how you should be. So these are situational circumstances, in that moment sort of thing. They're impulse driven, not value as in you have understood.
When we are trying to establish a value for something, maybe I'm pitching a goal, then we don't yet have a value for that. But sometimes it seems valuable to us.
So that
Mostly
is
it
your
seems.
goal. So that is not your goal. Your goal has to be something that you find valuable if you are woken up in the middle of the night also. Otherwise, you're pitching too high. Suppose I wake up in the middle of the night and say, what's the most important thing? And you don't know what you're saying. Whatever you say at that time is what you really want. Suppose you say, "Well, wake up, Mamita, wake up. What's the most valuable thing?" You say, Anshul. Then that is the most important thing.
But then what kind of a goal would I pitch in accordance
Whatever
with that?
it has to be based on your value. The highest thing you value. It cannot be a fluctuating thing. If it fluctuates, you will fall. Remember that example of the peg in mountaineering? That when you're doing mountaineering, you have to bang that peg in, and then you throw your rope, and then you can climb up to that. Now that peg cannot be loose. That has to be very firm, otherwise you come crashing down.
So in this example, supposing my goal, supposing Anshul, then what kind of a goal, higher goal would I pitch?
Maybe anything that is valuable to you based on Anshul. Let us say he's in class, in school. So then you can, I don't know, do something for the school, or something that has to be inspiring. But the highest that will consistently inspire you. Suppose now we are working for the university, and that is, sometimes we think we should have it, sometimes we shouldn't. We think we shouldn't have it. Can't work like that, right? That has to be fixed. That will not change no matter what. That will not change no matter what, in the sense that your value for that will not change. It may happen that, okay, you have to reduce this a little bit, what you're going to achieve because of certain circumstances, like if COVID hits, for instance. We won't be able to maybe do it. So you take a wide thing. But when you're headed, it's always very clear to you. That cannot change. That has to be fixed. Because if that changes, you lose the ground beneath your feet.
Okay. My understanding was that we pitch a goal at a certain uncomfortable level where we haven't yet reached, but we see ourselves there and we want to see ourselves there.
That's correct. You are uncomfortable with the action for that goal, not with the goal. You will have to do actions now which force you to do uncomfortable things. So your resistance, your mind's resistance, will be to the action, but you will counter that resistance because you're inspired by the goal. So the goal is not uncomfortable. The goal is for you it.
Okay. Thank you.
Ravi Chabra. Our values keep changing based on our intellect. That's right. As our intellect grows, we get higher and higher values. That is becoming more and more sattvic. Correct. Mona Sirva. Also indoctrination. So we need to be discerning. Has gone into tamas. That means you have put in no effort yourself. So indoctrination, conditioning, all of this comes under tamas.
I was referring to that example about that movie on patriotism.
Oh.
It's like indoctrination right over there. So even when somebody is trying to make you rajasic, it's a kind of an indoctrination, right? So sometimes it may suit my purpose at that moment to be rajasic because I want to do an action to achieve a particular goal. But then I transcend it to become sattvic so that it's a sustainable goal, so that it's not, I'm referring to work, I'm not referring to buying a dress or something. Because sometimes when there is a deadline and you need to meet something, you have to, you need to be rajasic because you can't sit over there and say, I'm very sattvic about it because deadline will go.
Wait, you're missing something. When you have a deadline to meet, you're forced to be sattvic because you have to plan, you have to organize, you have to be systematic. You just start running like a rajasic person.
Okay. So the rajasic is the impulsive, like a headless chicken running about without doing anything. And sattvic is still meeting the deadline, but being much more intentional about what they're doing and what the goal is, right?
Correct.
You can have a goal also, like, just to be a lifelong learner or just have a goal of happiness. I mean, you can have such big apps. You can say, I value lifelong learning because I think it will bring me happiness. I mean, is that a value that you would have?
You could, but it would have to be more specific. A goal
Okay.
is always time
Yeah,
bound.
yeah. Got it. Okay, thank you.
Our values keep changing based on our intellect, or the reverse too. Yes, you can say reverse also, because the mind takes over, then temporarily the values of the mind will play, which basically means lower values. Pavani, does overthinking come under tamasic? Pavani, are you new to the class? Does overthinking come under? Where are you, Pavani? I can't see you. Okay. All right. Can you switch on your video? Because somebody's asked a question, please switch on your video, so at least I can speak to somebody. So Pavani, can you switch on? I mean, if it's uncomfortable, it's fine. But all those who want to participate in the class, please switch on your video when you all are talking. Does overthinking come under tamasic? Overthinking could come under rajasic or tamasic based on what you're doing. When you're thinking so much that your action has come to a grinding halt, you have come to the state of tamas. When you are overthinking so much that it is overthinking means it's all dreaming and imagine, like, oh, ye hoga, fir wo hoga, fir wo hoga, such achhi cheezein hongi. You're just living in a world of dreams and imagination. Ye hoga, fir wo hoga, fir wo hoga. That is tamasic. If you're overthinking in the sense of, in a more rajasic sense, your mind is going, but because of that you're doing a lot of stuff, then you're being rajasic. So it just depends on how you're using this term. So maybe you can define overthinking for us, and then we can put it in the category. But basically, if you're running like a chicken without a head because of your overthinking, then that is the rajasic type of behavior. And because of your overthinking, you are not doing anything, you've come to a tamasic state, then that will come under tamas. Okay.
Overthinking and doing wrong actions would be tamasic, right?
Wrong in what sense? If they are wrong in the sense of morally wrong, it will come under tamasic. But if they are wrong in the sense of inappropriate, it won't take you to your goal, then it will come under rajasic.
Okay.
I mean, you're doing impulsive actions, basically. That sort of thing is rajasic. Ravi Chabra?
Yeah. Can I give a crude example from the animal world? Like we can say tamasic is like a monkey who doesn't know the direction and goes here and there. Rajasic is like a donkey that goes in a single direction, while sattvic is like a lion. He knows the purpose and he goes in that direction thinking, yes, this is the shikar or this is the prey which I have to handle. A very crude example from the animal world to understand the difference between tamasic, rajasic and sattvic. Thank you.
Okay, it depends on how you're looking at it. Of course, in the Gita, they use dog in the sense of rajasic, elephant who's barely moving in the sense of tamasic, and cow in the sense of sattvic, because a cow takes the minimum from us and gives us so much. So that's sattvic. So where were we? Okay. So that's it for today. We will do your heedlessness next time, Prashant. As far as we are concerned now, we have done a